What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today, in what might be the final Jets Latest episode of the year, it is the holiday season. I've got some holiday stuff to do as well with friends and family, like I hope you do. And again, I am thankful to everyone who has subscribed to grow this Jets Latest channel. But I thought it was an appropriate time to look ahead to that 2026 draft, and because of our draft capital, to the 2027 draft as well. I mean, let's, be real, right? At 3-12 with the Patriots and the Bills on the horizon, we are looking towards the draft. We are looking towards free agency. We are looking towards potential coaching replacements at the DC and other spots. And so I did want to spend some time looking forward. And remember, one of the biggest things that happened all year was because of Darren Muji. All right, Darren Muji did in fact trade away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, and we got some draft picks for it. But I would also say Darren Muji has proven, at least to me, to be a pretty good evaluator of talent. We like what happened in the draft with Membu and Taylor, A.Z. Thomas, Malachi Moore, Kiko Mauinoa, and others who look like they can stick and be part of this Glennaissance and rebuild here for the Jets. But also, I thought there were some shrewd trades that he made throughout the season. Guys like Jawan Briggs, who have been playing very well as of late on the defensive line. Guys like Brownlee, who's looked like he could be a part of the future here, right? Not only getting the draft picks, but getting guys like Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie, who, while have been inconsistent, are at least younger and have more potential than the guys like Josh Reynolds or Alan Lazard, who were performing as wideouts for us, earlier in the season, right? Harrison Phillips. I think it goes on and on. And so let's look at the draft assets that Muji has, because of the Week 16 action, they have improved. So first of all, the thing to know is the Jets had that big game against the Saints, right? They lost it. So they move up to the number 4 overall pick because the Tennessee Titans actually upset the Chiefs 26-9, and the Titans are now behind the Jets in the draft pecking order. So their first pick is now number 4 overall. Good things also happen on Monday Night Football for the Jets, okay? On a number of levels. The Colts lose again. I think it's their 5th straight loss. They lose by 3 touchdowns to the 49ers on Monday night. So remember, they got Indianapolis's first round pick in the Sauce Gardner deal, and that is now number 18 overall. However, the thing is, that might continue to improve, because with that loss to San Francisco, the Colts are pretty much eliminated from playoff contention. And so why would they keep running out Phillip Rivers? Why would he want to be out there, right? So for the last 2 games, the Colts are probably going to go back to their late round pick, Riley Leonard, or Anthony Richardson, both who have proven to be poor options. And the Colts have the Jaguars and the Texans in their last 2 games. So it is very possible that the Colts continue to lose, helping that draft pick that goes to the Jets. Dallas also lost to the Los Angeles Chargers. Remember, we have their 2nd round pick in the Quinnen Williams deal. That is now number 45 overall. I looked into it. The Colts pick could really fall almost as low as like 13 or 14. There are a ton of teams with 7 and 8 wins. Even Dallas has that tie. And if Dallas wins some games, and they've got winnable games against the Commanders and the Giants, it is possible that that Jets pick falls pretty far. What it does look like is that the Jets are going to have 4 of the top 45 picks in this upcoming draft. And remember, then they got the 3 first-round picks next year. So definitely a lot of assets there. We could get 4 starters in the draft next year. At least that will be the kind of objective, what we are looking for, along with another round of free agency, along with some more shrewd draft trades, and the idea of developing some of this talent that we do have. There is some talent on this roster that has been developed, whether it's a Jawan Briggs, whether it's a Brandon Stevens, whether it's a Mason Taylor, whether it's our tackles that are young and still growing, right? We'll get a guy like Braylon Allen back as well. That is young talent. But obviously, the big thing is the quarterback position. Here on Jets Latest, I have said, and I know you people out there probably do not want to hear this, personally, I don't think the Jets are drafting a guy like Mendoza. I don't think they're drafting the quarterback. I think they're going to use those 4 picks to get other talent. Things like front 7, things like a safety, things like a wide receiver, things like another young offensive lineman, if you want to know the truth. And I think we drop the quarterback in next year. I know people don't like to hear that. I know people think, oh, we got to trade up to number 1. That's not going to happen. But let's look at some of the some of the prospects that are out there in in the college football playoff. And we do start with a quarterback, Dante Moore of the Oregon Ducks, okay? He may or may not come out. Reports are saying that he if he did come out, he'd be right on a level playing field with Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, and he lit up James Madison in their first round playoff game. They won 51-34. He threw for 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. They'll get a tougher task at Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl next week in the next round of the CFP. And then that Miami Texas A&M game was interesting because Miami has a couple of prospects in the trenches that I think are worth watching. One is Ruben Bain Jr. He is the best edge rusher in the draft, and boy, did he perform like that against the Aggies. He had 4 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks in that game where Miami shut down Texas A&M, allowing them to only score 3 points. He is like the beast edge rusher, and I know a lot of people want the Jets to get an edge rusher. If they wind up 4 overall, and these quarterbacks like Moore, Mendoza wind up going early, Ruben Bain Jr. is a name of note to get pressure on the quarterback. So the other name for Miami that's really interesting, and I've said it before here on Jets Latest, is Francis Mauigoa. Francis Mauigoa is one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. And yes, he is Kiko Mauigoa's brother, and he played a good game also. They're going up against Texas A&M. They have an edge rusher named Cassius Howell, okay? And you know, Mauigoa was part of an O-line that limited Howell to only 1 tackle in that game. Did not get a sack, did not get a pressure, handled him. Also, if you saw that game, on the game-winning end-around by Malachi Toney, Mauigoa had a great block sealing off the edge. And so if we want to continue to add to our young offensive line, Mauigoa could be someone, especially if we get that Colts pick down to 12 or 13, that could be viable, all right? So obviously now Miami goes to the Cotton Bowl. They're going to see Ohio State. When you're watching that game, don't only look at Ruben Bain and Mauigoa in the trenches. On the Ohio State side, there are 2 guys on the OSU Buckeyes defense that bears watching. One is a linebacker, Avro Reese, and he is maybe the top pick in the draft, maybe the best defender in the draft at the linebacker level, someone to keep an eye on. If the Giants are above him, above us, I think the Giants may wind up taking him. The other is Caleb Downs, and Caleb Downs is the best safety in the class, thought of as a stud defensive player. And I know that, say, at 4 or 3 or 5, it would be odd to take a safety, but Caleb Downs is definitely a name to note, especially when we talk about a do-it-all kind of chess piece. Think about a Kyle Hamilton. Think about in the old days, you know, one of those safeties like the Sanders, the Ed Reeds, the Palomalus, these chess pieces that can do all sorts of things, like a Kyle Hamilton, as I mentioned. That could be a Caleb Downs piece, so keep on watching for that. And then in Alabama, Ty Simpson, who by most accounts is going to be QB3 on the draft board, behind Moore, behind Mendoza. He had a good game also, threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Alabama won 34-24 against Oklahoma, and they go and they're going to play Indiana in the Rose Bowl. And remember, Indiana has Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner. So if you want to look at that game in the Rose Bowl, you're going to see 2 quarterbacks there that could be talked about a lot in the draft process. And I hear, you know, again, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it is the quarterback, okay? People are going to at me. People are going to say I'm crazy in the comments. People are going to say you have to get the quarterback. I don't think that's the way they're going to go. I think they are going to build up this roster, because how many times have you seen it? You put a rookie quarterback into a bad team, a bad roster, and it completely undercuts his development. I think we are going to build that up a little bit more, and then 2027 would be the year. If you ask me who I think is going to be playing quarterback for the Jets next year, I think it's names you're not going to like. I think it's bridge kind of veteran guys, like maybe a Jacoby Brissett, maybe a Marcus Mariota, maybe a Tua Tagovailoa. If they want to take a higher level swing, you know, the name Kyler Murray is out there. I don't want it. There's the name Joe Burrow. I don't think it's going to be worth it. I think he has too much money. There's also an interesting idea of Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur Sanders doesn't prove himself to be the Cleveland guy, and Cleveland has a ton of draft assets, would he be, you know, someone who could be had? Not saying these are names that I want, not saying it's sexy, not saying I like it, but if you ask me what I think might happen, I do think, unlike a lot of people, but some agree with me, that they're not going to take the quarterback with the third, fourth, fifth, sixth pick overall, that they're not going to package their assets and trade up to number one to get a Mendoza, to get a Moore. But those are the names that are out there. I am saying I think they're going to kick the can down the road, build up the roster, build up the culture, be serviceable, and then leverage their 3 first-round picks next year in the 2027 draft, which is why I say look ahead to the 27 draft, and then they're going to get their prize quarterback. And I think that is a deep, strong quarterback class led by a man you're going to hear me talk about a lot, because this is where I honestly believe it could be steering for, and that is Arch Manning. Arch Manning has declared that he is going back to Texas for his junior season, okay? He's going to be in the Citrus Bowl if you want to give him a look against Michigan on New Year's Eve. Manning's looked good recently, okay? Over 62% completion rate. Threw for about 300 yards a game, 12 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Unlike his uncles, he can also run a little bit. He can use his legs a little bit. He's not Justin Fields. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Lenoris Sellers, who's another quarterback you will hear about out of South Carolina, but he can make plays with his legs. Obviously, Manning had huge expectations, was the favorite for the Heisman entering the season, didn't play well early on. Obviously, Manning, I think, can handle the stage because he has been under the microscope so much. And if you can't figure it out, yes, he is the nephew of Peyton and Eli Manning. So the pedigree is certainly there. People have known about Arch Manning for a long time. And quite frankly, I think with another year of seasoning under Steve Sarkisian at Texas, I think because he has some ability with his legs, I think because he has handled expectation, the limelight for so long, he would be okay in New York City because he could rely on his uncle Eli Manning for what it is like to be here. Again, as we look ahead, I think we're using all that draft capital this year, 4 in the top 45, to build up wideout, O-line, front 7, back end of the secondary. That's what I think we're going, depending on who the best players at those positions are. Maybe it's a Francis Mauigoa. Maybe it's a Caleb Downs. Maybe it's a wide receiver, the stud out of Arizona State. There's one out of USC, Lemon, as well. Maybe it's a defensive lineman. So that's where I think are the biggest needs to be addressed with young talent. I think we're going to be shrewd and sign more good free agents. I trust Darren Muji. I think we're going to get a bridge veteran quarterback that can give us representative quarterback play with a developing culture and roster. Think Jacoby Brissett. Think Marcus Mariota. If we swing, it's a Shedeur Sanders. If we Mac Jones, for example, I think it's that kind of level. I know people out there are going to at me and say I'm crazy. That is the approach. I think that's the plan that Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, I believe, have. And then at 2027, when wherever they finish, they can package theirs, Indy's, Dallas's, and go up as high as they need to get their franchise quarterback. That's what I think is going to happen. Let's see what some of you Jets' latest regulars have to say, whether it be about that approach or what we are seeing with the Jets, Jets. Croero 23 says, the play calling has been horrible. How do you have Justin Fields and run the lowest play action rate in the league? I hear you. I think there's a lot of things that Engstrand needs to do a little bit differently. I've been calling for the screens, the play actions. We'll see what kind of adjustments happen next year if, in fact, Engstrand is back. I do think he will be. Daryl Braden, 9147, says, worry about the Jets wide receiver. Other than Wilson, there is no wide out on the Jets that would start anywhere else in the league. They have to draft a wide receiver and early. You know, I don't disagree, but I also think it was smart for Muji to try and get A.D. Mitchell, try and get Mechie. I think those guys can be a wide receiver 3-4. I think Mechie could play in the slot. I think Mechie, let's put it this way. These guys have apparently leapfrogged Arian Smith, who has been nowhere on offense, only on special teams, right? So I do think a wide receiver 2 is something they're going to get. Whether it is addressing it in the draft early, I do think that is possible. Maybe not, probably not at number 4, 5, 6, 3 overall, but maybe with the high second round pick, like number 35 overall, maybe with the Colts pick at number, 15, let's say. I do think that is plausible. But also remember, there's going to be a wide receiver 2. Garrett Wilson is the wide receiver 1. You're going to have Breece Hall. This is going to be a run team. So I don't know if it, maybe they go in the free agent market there as well. But I do agree, it needs to be addressed. We've got George Alston, 1933, who says, I think Cook will be a backup next year, depending on what they do at quarterback and whether they grab one in the draft. They'll be drafting a wide receiver 2 for sure. I think they're going to address it for sure. I don't know if it's high up in the draft. A heavy emphasis will be on the defense. We need dogs who can tackle, force turnovers, and get pressure on the quarterback. That part I agree with. That's why I'm telling you guys, like Ruben Bain out of Miami, like Caleb Downs from Ohio State. These are guys who I think may even be prioritized targets over the quarterback with those top tier picks. And I also believe O-line maintaining that as a strength for the identity that the Jets team wants to have. That's why I keep on mentioning Francis Mauigoa out of Miami, Kiko's brother. The last part is Old Dave 1000. I want to finish with a Jets latest day one regular. Says Dallas and the Colts tanking look good. Merry Christmas. Like I said, the Colts also have the Jags and the Texans in their last 2 games. That can really drop. We can really be staring at number 3 overall and number 13 overall, which would be nice to get some, quality starters on this team. Then old Dave says, Merry Christmas. I want to tell you, this is going to be, I'm usually here every day. Okay, I have been here every day since February or March, and I thank for the 2,500 of you 2,500 plus that have subscribed to the channel, watch these videos, like these videos, engage with me positively in the comments. I really do appreciate it. Tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. I've got some holiday family business to attend to, so you're probably not going to see me for a little bit, but we will be back, whether it's right at the end of the year or right in the new year, and I'm going to continue to give you all the unfiltered quotes, stats, thoughts, analysis about the green and white as we move on here, okay? I hope that you guys believe that I give you kind of optimistic yet realistic analysis on the Jets, that we know what we're talking about here on Jets Latest, and I thank everybody for being a part of it, especially some of our regulars like George Alston, like Old Dave, like the others, like Sharon McLean and others that are out here. In the new year, we will continue to look forward, whether it be to the draft, to free agency, or whatever the case may be, as we continue to build what I really do believe is long-term, but going to be a turnaround and the Glennaissance for the Jets, Jets. And remember, if you want to hear more from me, spitting statistician Dane Martinez, if you're in your fantasy championship, like I am, go on and check me out on the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM. We give you what you need to win your leagues and win that cash. You can also see me on SportsGrid TV, where I do live betting shows. Hopefully you get a little bit of extra cash for that stocking stuffer, but really, happy holidays to everybody. I will be back and giving you episodes of Just Latest as much as I can be in this holiday week and a half, but I do got to take some time with the family as well. That's why I thank you. I hope everybody has a great holiday season, and let's see what we do against the Pats and the Bills. Quite frankly, if we keep on losing, that wouldn't be too bad, because also the Giants play the Raiders this week. One of those teams has to win, so we'll see about that if the Jets draft spot can improve even more. I'll be back as much as I can and as soon as I can, continuing to give you the real about the green and white as we head into the new year. But for this episode of Jets Latest, and for a little while as I celebrate the holidays with the fam, I hope you do too. But for this episode, we out of here. Peace.